right, everybody, welcome back to another live episode of the Pleb Underground. Yes, I noticed the connection is not optimal. I am working on this, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But rest assured, we're going to get this fixed. Anyways, the topic of the day is going to be this ridiculous conversation between Barry Silbert. For the people who don't know, he was the CEO of Grayscale. He still is the CEO of Digital Currency Group, or DCG, and they are major investors in a whole lot of shitcoin projects. And of course, when you're down bad, you end up talking to Rug Pal. For the people who don't know who Rug Pal is, he was one of the... So first of all, he works for Real Vision, but most importantly, the thing that he is most well known for with Bitcoiners is that he shilled Luna, and we all know what happened to Luna. He said it was relatively risk-free. So of course, when Predator put out this tweet, right, about Barry, talking about the largest Bitcoin ETF and how he essentially kind of, he kind of bowed to the state, and essentially the Grayscale Bitcoin ended up moving into the hands of the ETFs. I'm sure that wasn't part of the plan. But anyways, when he sat down with Rug Pal, you know that I had to dive into this. Anyways, before we dismantle this ridiculous shitcoin that he calls BitTensor, we are gonna just take a look at this 3 minutes and 40 seconds of drivel, and we'll see if we can make it through. But before we do, we're just gonna do a quick shout out, show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsors, and we are gonna be right back. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. They make absolutely beautiful Bitcoin branded products. They just dropped their first one. It is the solid aluminum Bitcoin clock. I had to get my hands on it so that I could show it to you guys. Take a look. Really, really nice piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Head on over to archemp.co. The link is going to be in the show notes. That is Archimedes Emporium. Head on over there. I don't have an actual ad read for this or anything. It just says Tselly Says, fuck you, Greg. All right, guys, we are back. Let's take a look at this little talk here between Rug Pal and Barry Silbert. Here we go.
If you ask 5 people what is BitTensor,
I tried to ask you and them when I saw you, and I'm like, it's still complicated.
It's complicated. So if you ask 5 people,
okay. So just quickly, right? So Barry is on the show, and what he is shilling, right, is this quote unquote new token, which really was out already back in 2021, called BitTensor. Okay. So here we go.
You're going to get 15 answers. So I'm going to, but here's the thing. It's just like Bitcoin. That's number one. Two is BitTensor was
just like Bitcoin. Okay. Just like Bitcoin. Let's remember that.
Launch is a fair launch. It's just like Bitcoin. It was a white paper that was then turned into code.
Okay. We're actually, because you know me, I can't help it, right? I cannot help tearing this stuff apart while we actually go through it. So yeah, let's, yeah. All right, hold on. I gotta stop sharing this one, and I gotta start sharing another one. All right, hold on. Okay, so look, I just want to point out, okay, it was started just like Bitcoin, okay? So, but really that's actually not so true, okay? Because here we go. The OpenTensor Foundation, founded by Jacob Steves and Ala Shabana, owns the BitTensor coin. Steves is also the CEO of the OpenTensor Foundation. So again, it's not like Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no CEO. There is no Bitcoin Foundation run by the guy who created the Bitcoin. So this is just absolute nonsense. And of course, right, we can see right here, the OpenTensor Foundation is the company that focuses on artificial intelligence and blockchain. So guys, guess what? The newest token is not only better than Bitcoin, but it also brings in AI. So there you go. All right, let's continue on, because yeah, this actually gets a whole lot worse.
that then launched. And by the way, it has the same token economics as Bitcoin. So it's got 21 million cap. It's got the same halving concept as Bitcoin. So it's
okay. I can't stop myself. Okay, so this is the weird thing, right? I'm going to show you guys after that this token actually has staking. Okay, so a 21 million cap. How long is that cap going to hold? And who exactly is enforcing that cap?
It's very, very easy to understand. And what has happened over the past few months has been called an upgrade of the tensor, where the subnets that we just talked about, each one of those subnets actually now have a token. OGs, we are circa 2012, 2013 right now.
Yeah.
And look, if the price is any indication of kind of where it is, the price of Tau, it's like $200 right now. So if you kind of look at like in the history of Bitcoin,
what's the month?
Okay, so guys, this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, essentially what's happening is this is essentially an how could I say this? They're putting the carrot, right? It's the carrot on the end of the stick. So what you need to do, what I need to do in our monkey brains, right? We need to sit there and be like, hey, wait a second, Bitcoin was worth almost nothing in 2012, 2013. If I could get my hands on a whole bunch of it, just think of how rich I could be in the future, right? So this is just typical affinity scammer language, right? They're just warming you up in order to buy my shitcoin, okay? That's all it is. All right, here we go.
market cap. It's 1.5 billion or so.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so you have, in the same way that the early pioneers of Bitcoin were more kind of libertarian leaning, which some people would call me and them crazy, but you know that was a philosophy. Is a philosophy.
Yeah. Him, right? Barry and the rest of the cypher. I'm sorry. Oh, Barry and the rest of the cypherpunks. Yeah, sure. Barry and the cypherpunks.
In the tensor, it's really more AI crazies.
Yeah.
And so Grayscale launched a product for it. So there's the Grayscale Tensor Trust. So again, just the playbook. So just like what we did with Bitcoin in 2013, we're doing the same thing with the Tensor.
Okay, so here we go, guys. This is, again, also more of the carrot on the end of the stick, right? This is all predictive. It's all predictive programming to get you all excited to buy this shitcoin. So you see, think about what Bitcoin did, and then think about what Barry did with Grayscale by creating a whole bunch of paper Bitcoin, right? Like, just think he's going to do that with BitTensor, and right now it's only worth $300. So if I do the math, tons of money. Anyways, let's continue.
And Yumo, that we build the business that we're building, one of the areas we're really focusing on is how do we make subnet investing more. There's annually there's about $12 billion of Bitcoin that gets emitted annually to the miners.
Emitted. Very interesting language choice, because you'll see in their BitTensor paperwork a little bit after when we finish this clip, they like to use that word emit. So again, Barry is doing, this is fantastic affinity scam work, okay? And what he's doing is he's borrowing validation, but at the same time using the same language to describe Bitcoin, to describe his new shitcoin, right? So that our monkey brains do the little dance that says, this is like this, but it's not.
And that $12 billion is being spent to secure the Bitcoin network, which is great. Super important. Does it need to be $12 billion?
Super important. Doesn't need to be that much. And of course, right, BitTensor is going to offer us an alternative that uses a lot less power. And of course, without saying, is going to be a lot less secure. Most likely, in my eyes anyways, from what I read, due to the staking element, because of course, the more you stake, the more power you have on this network. And I'll show you that after, because that's in their documentation.
There's probably not, but it is. BitTensor,
it's just like Bitcoin, guys. Staking shitcoins, just like Bitcoin.
Is instead taking those economics and using it as an incentive to pay the providers of the compute, the owners of the models, the owners of the data,
to network infrastructure, as it were.
Exactly. And today,
decentralized.
Right. And so today at BitTensor, it has the the religious feeling of the early Bitcoin adopters, but answer is it could be a better version of Bitcoin.
There it is, guys. There it is. It could be a better version of Bitcoin. Ah, think of the possibilities.
As a global store of value, in that instead of spending the $10-12 billion a year that is spent to secure the Bitcoin network, imagine if you spent that $10 or $12 billion to incent problem solving a global network of people who solve major world problems. And
major world problems, guys, like AI. All right, that's what they're. And keep in mind, right? I've done many videos exposing the AI token grift. Think about it, guys. Like right now, you have in some cases you have Grok on your phone. You're using ChatGPT. When are you using a token? You're not. You're never ever using a fucking token. This is so stupid. And in all fairness, right? I have this feeling that these people that shill this crap, they genuinely think that you're a lot dumber than they are. That's my take, anyways. All right.
And if that 10 billion became 20 billion or 50 billion, $100 billion, think about the magic that could happen if you harness that. And again, I'm not suggesting that it's not valuable to spend $10-12 billion a year to secure the Bitcoin network, but it's got potentially got the exact same tokenomics as Bitcoin, as having decentralized.
Nope, does not have the same tokenomics as Bitcoin at all. At all. They're staking. Right away, they're staking. And then on top of that, as you guys will see with a bunch of this other nonsense that they're doing, they also have governance that's based on the staking. So right away, like, I don't think people understand, but no matter how much Bitcoin you accumulate, you don't actually have more power over the Bitcoin network. But as we're going to see with this shitcoin, as with pretty much almost every other staking shitcoin there is, the more you have of it and the more of it you stake, the more power you have over that network and its decision making. So he's just flat out lying.
So that's one thing of what it could be. But I could.
Okay. All right. Let's we are going to move on now, and we're going to start taking a look at some of the other information about this, because this was just absolute cringe. And yeah, this is nothing like Bitcoin. It is the pure definition of an affinity scam, right? He loves Bitcoin. Hey, he's Barry from Grayscale. Look at what he did with Bitcoin. Imagine what he can do with this shitcoin. Okay, so. All right. Let's get to it. Okay, so as you guys can see here, I've got the let's see. This is their website, the BitTensor website, okay? So take a look at this. Tau holders can stake any amount of the liquidity they hold to a validator, also known as delegation. Staking supports validators because their total stake in the subnet, including stake delegated to them by others, determines their consensus power and their share of emissions. Okay, so how much they stake determines how much power they have over the network and how much tokens they receive. That sounds just like Bitcoin. I mean, I can tell you, based off of my holdings in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network just magically gives me more Bitcoin. I don't understand how these guys lie like this, but it's okay. It gets, you'll see the incentives are clear, right? Keep in mind, he is the CEO of Digital Currency Group. Anyways, okay. The governance overview. BitTensor's governance protocol transitions the management of the network from centralized within the foundation to community ownership over time. Now, I'm going to show you some stuff that kind of it's a little bit in contrast to what they're saying, but I'm sure that I most likely just don't understand. The first stage of this transition is to decentralized management is the creation of a bicameral legislature. In this stage, the triumvirate creates proposals for the Senate to approve. Triumvirate members are, then this is the best part, Open Tensor Foundation employees. Okay? So I want you guys to think about this. The members, right, of this thing, okay, that create the proposals, and I think it's funny that these people create all of these fancy words, which of course, right, all of this is meant to conjure trust, to essentially conjure up that these people are legitimate, they're being serious, this is to be taken seriously. Okay, it's nothing but word salad. But yeah, essentially the triumvirate members are the Open Tensor Foundation employees. Well, interesting. So these people are the ones that are creating the proposals. All right, so I mean, like right away, that is just totally... it's just totally centralized garbage. Anyways, so who is it that actually runs this whole protocol? Who is it that actually takes care of the development? The Open Tensor Foundation. Okay, this is the company that focuses on AI, blockchain, and distributed computing with a particular emphasis on BitTensor. Okay, so then after that, I already showed you guys who is the CEO, right? That this was founded by Jacob Steves and Ala Shabana. Okay, that's the Open Tensor Foundation. But the real question is, where did BitTensor get their funding? Who is paying all these people? Right? So it's a nonprofit organization, so they don't make money supposedly. And I know that nonprofit organizations don't work like that, but I'm just saying, right? It's again, the nonprofit organization designation is meant to conjure up the feelings of trust, the feelings of legitimacy. These people are looking out for the greater good. They're not just doing this for, selfish ends, just for themselves, just to be able to dump some shitcoin on the market. No. Anyways, who did BitTensor get money from? All right, so they receive funding from several institutional investors, including Polychain Cap, which is essentially one of the biggest shitcoin factories that we have besides A16Z. And of course, we can see here Digital Currency Group. So who's the CEO of Digital Currency Group? That's right. Barry Silbert is the CEO of this group. So, essentially, guys, I mean, you can clearly see why he's shilling this, right? He's poured millions of dollars into this thing. He obviously needs to sell it. And you'll notice, where did he go to sell it, right? He went to go sell it on Real Vision, which is one of the worst shills of absolute garbage, because he understands, like, they're not going to be able to sell this to Bitcoiners, right? Bitcoiners aren't going to buy this crap. So where's he going to go? He's got to go to the person that reaches the lowest common denominator, which is Rug Pal. And yeah, that's it's just too bad. Anyways, guys, obviously, we're going to be watching out for this, right? We're going to watch this token. I'm obviously very curious of how long this thing takes to implode and go to zero. All the links to everything that I was talking about, they're all going to be in the show notes. And yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Is this actually going to be better than Bitcoin? I don't think so. Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.